G'day YouTube, Richard and Mrs. Drop Bear Moto from Drop Bear Moto here today. Thanks for clicking on this video. This is our final thoughts for the Sturgis trip this year because it was an epic trip.
It was. It's
a good trip. I'm going to warn you up front because I copped some criticism on the last video that this is no riding.
You talk too much?
Yeah.
No way. Shit, really?
Yeah, I got that.
I didn't think you talked that much.
There you go. You heard it here. I don't talk that much, but I copped some crap because there was no riding, and it was just commentary because of GoPro boat. But so warning you now. Turn it off. No riding. It's just us talking about it. But a few people asked a lot of questions. So we're going to just talk a little bit about our bikes, some of the stuff we packed, give you our final thoughts, and also talk to Tom and Sandie about the trip as well. So
yeah.
Thought we'd do that. Before we did that, first of all, just want to say we've been on YouTube a year this month, and it's been an epic journey. We set up the channel originally because we enjoy watching travel videos of people on motorcycles on YouTube. We saw a lot. It inspired us to go to Laconia last year and to go do this trip this year. So we just want to share that experience with you. We've also got some how-to videos and some reviews because that's what we use YouTube for as well. But yeah, we jumped on the platform, but this series has been phenomenal. We've had multiple thousand people watch each video, which from our 40 or 50 views at the start of the year is huge. So just want to open up the video by just massive thank you from us for everyone that watched them. We really appreciate it. Everyone that liked them, that did like them, and then clicked the like button, we really appreciate that. And the subscriber count grew massively, which shows we're putting content that resonates with others. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we wanted to say a big thank you. So yeah. We got more stuff planned. This year we're going to do the Jack Daniels Indian Motorcycles Owners Ride up to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're going to try and sneak in some places on the way up there, maybe Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. We're also going to go to Nashville. Yeah, we've never been to Nashville.
Well, kind of drove in there.
Yeah, we did. Well, you saw that. If you watched the series, you got this far. Yeah. Sorry. But we just went to that Indian dealership, so it doesn't really count. Yeah. So we'll do that. We're planning a big trip for next year. We're going to get our son along too, hopefully, on one of those trips, so we got more to go. We're also going to do some fun stuff on the Triumph we've planned, and a couple more comparisons between some of our bikes. So if any of that content sounds appealing, please subscribe and set up those notifications, and you'll see that as it comes. But plenty more to come. We didn't just stop with the Sturgis trip, so we'll keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did mention a few things we're going to cover today. First of all, we want to give a quick run through of both the bikes that we took, how they performed, what we liked, what we didn't like. They're not in-depth reviews on the bikes, but really just some of the key things we found on this trip for our two bikes, which is your
2021 Chieftain
and my 2020 Indian Challenger, both base models, but we'll talk through some of the mods we've done and what we like about them. Then we're going to talk through some of the equipment we took.
Yes.
And now I did film that actually when we got back from the trip. We're doing this a few weeks later. And I will note, I didn't talk about the GoPros at all, but I'll put a little picture in here of the clamps that broke in that, well, a couple of videos where they broke. So just something to watch for, I think. But I would say bring spare ones of those if you're using a similar setup to us, which really is a GoPro Hero 11 with a media mod. That's all we used for the bulk of the footage. A little bit was captured on the iPhone. And then I have a flexible mount that you'll see in the photo and a big clamp. But I'll put a picture up. I did take a picture before I threw out the pieces that broke. So take spares of that would be my advice.
Yes, definitely.
We struggled there, and yeah, it would have been better to get more content in our last video.
Well,
and the only other thing we didn't mention in the videos, we actually bought a fuel bladder too.
Yes, we did.
We never used it.
No.
We left it in its original packing. We didn't need it on this trip, so just a handy point. We didn't need fuel, yeah, we'll cover off the other key stuff we took.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go and check out the bikes and some of the gear we took, and stay tuned for a chat with Tom and Sandie.
Hi everyone, this is my Indian Chieftain 2021. This is what I took to Sturgis. I'll just quickly run through, and when I say quickly, I do things very quickly, not like Richard, talking too much apparently. So things I've done to my bike, because I am only 5'3" and shrinking every year, I put 6-inch KST Customs Apache bars. I hope I've said that right in my Australian accent. We say things wrong. And I put a reduced seat, ultimate seat for my Chieftain. So again, that was a reduced reach seat because I am such a short ass. Also, I have a Lloyd's Tune, which made it run a lot more cooler and also a lot smoother because it was a little bit sluggish when I first got it, but it runs awesome now. And I've also put some tab slip-on zombies baffles on it, which again has, just so people know I'm coming. And to make her more feminine looking, I put Artivus tank badges, and I also got it pinstripe by John Foster Graphics. Lower covers, yeah, my lower covers, they're just the Indian ones, which worked perfectly because apparently bugs love me on long trips, and that just, yeah, they got covered in bugs all the time at Sturgis, which was great, so I didn't have to clean off the bugs off my jeans, which was awesome.
Even though it wasn't that cold.
Even though, yeah, it wasn't that cold, I still left them on. It was hot as hell. And I also put, just for clear visibility, a Hogworks LED with a halo ring on it as well. So this is my bike.
Bike is still in an unwashed condition, although it doesn't look too bad because of the big storms we hit on the way back in. This is not going to be a thorough kind of review of the Challenger, and also in particular I've done a video of the mods to this Challenger, so I encourage you to check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about particular things I've done here. I just sort of probably give an update to that video in the context of the trip and some of the things I liked and disliked about the bike, covering 5,300 miles in 17 days, maybe things I do differently. So first of all, I start at the front. It's always an easy place to go. By the way, I hate that I got this scratch. It's my bad. Long story, but it's all that's staring out at me right now, and probably will you now. I've pointed it out. The Baja LP6 headlight with the Forever Rad kit. I think if you watched my video on the mods, that was something I did just before the trip. Absolutely fantastic. You would have seen by now, definitely the night footage, I think running through Atlanta, it's probably one of the most, but I think just overall visibility, even during the day for the bike coming, thoroughly recommend it. The 2-inch lift was another thing that was from Forever Rad, bare knuckle performance, I think it is. Did the lift, performed really well. I absolutely couldn't be happier with that lift on the trip. Getting involved in some of those canyons, it was a totally different bike this year up in the Black Hills area versus in Laconia last year. So really enjoyed this bike. This year's so much more just because of that lift, and just a great kind of relatively inexpensive. There's a bit of labour involved in putting it on, but performance upgrade if you've got the height to be able to carry it off. And look, I know a lot of people that don't have the height have still put it on, and it just changes the dynamics of the bike completely for the better. Awesome upgrade. The lowers are something that I have a love-hate relationship with. They're on the bike when I bought it. Every rainy, cold day, probably appreciated them. Every hot day I didn't. Here's pro tip, life hack number 1. You would have seen the vent on the lowers. All lowers have them. I always ran with it flat open, direct line through. Was actually advised, got a tip on this trip to direct it towards the engine. Learned that probably day 4 of our run at 90-degree heat, plus 90, and what it did for my legs and the pipes and the engine was phenomenal. So pro tip there. The maps you would have seen I had a lot of trouble with. Common complaint on Challenger. 3 big tips that probably solved that. Number 1, the cord matters. You need a good quality cord. Number 2, turn Bluetooth off on your phone. The Bluetooth fights with the bike, with the comms. You obviously need the comms Bluetoothed in to make the maps or Apple CarPlay we're talking about in particular work here, get Waze or Google Maps up. So turn Bluetooth off on your phone and it doesn't fight. The last thing I'll say, and I'm filming on an iPhone here so I can't put it in, but I was knocking buttons on the side, turning on my camera, disconnecting from the maps, doing all sorts of things in there as it rattled around. So just be careful how you place your phone, particularly larger kind of iPhone 15. So there are the 3 big tips I got on that, and once I resolved that, didn't have a problem at all with Apple CarPlay, and having those maps is phenomenal. My only major complaint with the bike is this stupid weather stripping that comes on here. It leaves a freaking mess all the way around. It's a pretty easy fix. If you want me to do a video on it, I can, but you just get a hex head bolt in there, remove this section out, and then you have to kind of just line the weather striping again. I did it after I got back from the last trip. It seems to be when I'm running at high speed in 90-degree heat, the glue that's on there just comes apart. So it's an easy fix to put back on. I'll do that now as I go to clean it. But I will say, you know, it's just poor design by Indian. I'm gonna put a dab of Gorilla Glue or something similar right at the end here. And it's once the end starts to peel back, you can actually see it coming away a little bit on this one. Once that starts to happen, it just goes. So it's one thing I hate about this bike. Other things that I did, you gotta have highway pegs on long trips like that, I think. I also believe fully in the backrest. I know a lot of people don't like them, but I'll tell you, once you put it on, you won't go back. You'll have to run with it the whole time. That's certainly my experience when you're doing long distance. But I can get lower back pain issues. I get bad posture, and when I don't ride with it, certainly that works against me. The other thing I did is I took the back pad off of my backrest or sissy bar. That was to fit the bag in that I ran with. I'm going to talk through equipment in a minute, but I had to do that to just make it fit nicely in there. The other big thing I'll say was the Sawicki. Those that follow my channel, watch my videos, you'll know I'm a huge fan of the Sawicki and this Lloyd Sawicki pipe. It kind of broke me a bit on this trip, to be really candid. 5 days, 90+ degrees. I mean, it got over 100, I think, at various times. It just got too hot. I actually got a heat rash on my leg. And the other thing's the sound. I do wear earplugs, but the sound interfering with the comms. We had 4 riders on this time. Previously, we've just had the 2 long distance, and I did struggle to hear. So I don't know if I'll run that again long distance, but man, I love that pipe around town. So I'm really torn on what to do there. Probably forget all about it by the time I go away next time, but just be cautious of it, I think is what I'd say there. Moving on to equipment, wanted to take you through some of the things that we took on this trip. Now, I will say, I've tried to do a few reviews of when I have a piece of equipment for longer than a year, and I did a review on these boots. So I will do a full 1-year owner review on gloves, my jacket, jeans, as they come up from 1 year on. And some of that definitely has now, so I need to catch up on some reviews. But the boots I've previously done, and I'll just say, still love these boots. If you watch that review, these Indian mock toe boots, I've had them for quite a while now. You can see they're really worn in. I'm going to buy another pair just in case they stop making them, because they'll be my next pair. I did get water in the left one a couple of times, but you know, it was underwater. It was coming in from the top, so I can't blame that. But the right one held true both times. Ironically, I've changed the laces out since I got back, because the laces did go, but this second pair came. Not a big fan of the colour, but hey, they're motorcycle boots. It's not a fashion show, so I'll be wearing them now and get some more life out. But those boots were phenomenal. Still a big fan. Definitely would buy them again. So rather than reviews, let me just talk about some of the equipment I think you need. You're going to need some small tools. You know, I kind of take a small shifter to change the suspension when I took the bags off. When I had Mrs. DBM on the bike, you know, I do move the suspension around, so it's always handy to kind of carry this on the bike anyway. You need a small crescent wrench. These being a metric bike, having a set of hex keys or Allen keys is phenomenal, and I got a small Indian toolkit there. You know, that'll get you through most situations. I'd say maybe throw in some gaffer tape or duct tape, and also cable ties, and you can achieve a lot on the road. But other things you will need is something to deal with punctures. I won't do a review on this because I've never actually used it, but this is the Dynaplug system. carried on the bike for some time. Man, touch wood, haven't had to use it, but you certainly want to make sure you got something and a set of needle nose pliers to be able to pull out whatever's in there. You saw on ours, or you heard more, because I was filming but also jumping the bike. We had to jump the bike twice. I bought this kit. I've used it yesterday, ironically, actually to rescue a bike of a friend. So it did work, but yeah, I might do a review on this one. I've used it a few more times, but you need some sort of jump set, jump starter on a long trip for sure. And then last thing's tire pressure. I bought this actually on the trip, used it once. The only thing I'll say, I hate these ones that sort of screw in. I'd love to sort of more clip-on type system rather than screwing. So obviously as you're unscrewing, you lose some pressure. But this is a rechargeable one. The last one I had was a Harley one. I probably should have done a review on it because it wasn't very good. First of all, when you were looking at the reading, which was on the top, you also had a bright light in your face you couldn't turn off. So it was like where the light is, it was there, so you had to cover the light to read the dial, which was stupid. And secondly, that other one went to the bikes, went to the battery through the kind of trickle charger connection. Whereas this was easier because I just moving bikes around. I wanted a battery one, but screwing in is a pain in the ass, particularly on the Challenger on the back wheel. So that's why I kind of upgraded that on the trip. Things to look out for though on them. The other thing, you know, some sort of tire pressure when you don't want to get the full system out. Quick detailing. We bought this one on the trip again, Bug Slide. Worked really well on the helmet visors. Got a spray, got a clean rag, and you got to keep the rag clean, obviously, or cloth. This worked really well for the windscreens and the helmets. We actually had a quick detailer, which we used a little bit at the start. Keep the bikes kind of clean when we could, or anything major. And obviously you want to have a bunch of cloths with you. Rain gear came in dead handy, as you've probably heard. Again, couldn't catch that on film, but was there. Always carry the rain gear when we're out for an extended period, just in case. And not just to keep you dry, but for visibility as well. And also protection. You know, I'll do a full review on this rain gear. It is Harley, as you see, but I've been really impressed with it. That's why I kept it on the Indians. I'll talk through some of the features of that on another video. I had a tank bag, magnetic fastening on this tank bag. Might do a longer review on this. It's a Nelson rig one. Just great to have stuff handy on the tank, even though you've got a lot of storage on baggers. I did run maps as well on the top here. You know, just to have general direction when you're covering multi-states in a day, handy to have. You also want to have some sort of bag for your inner to go inside your side bags, saddle bags. Again, just easy when you're checking in a hotel to be able to pull everything out in one bag, not have multiple bags as you go in. Other equipment, earplugs. Again, I'll probably do a separate review on some earplugs we've tested, but you know, mandatory, especially if you're on a Sawiki. But just for the wind noise and things, you're going to be a lot less tired, and you really are going to protect your hearing if you're on with earplugs. I took 2 sets of gloves, winter pair, waterproof, and a really light summer pair. Always handy if you're going through different climates to do that. Again, I'll do a bigger review on these, but if there's any questions on any of the stuff I've skimmed over, please drop it in the comment section. I'll answer you. And last thing was a big bag. Again, this one's been great. Big Harley bag. It's got a big waterproof cover that goes over the top. You know, sits up on the back of the bike here, and you know, we've taken that when we've done kind of weeks away. If we go for a weekend or several days, obviously we're fortunate, 2 people running baggers. We've got a lot of bag space anyway, so we don't need the big one. But if you're going to be on the road, a lot of washing, you certainly need to carry that. I think that's the key stuff that I did take away, and a little bit of review of what to look for, what worked, what didn't. As I say, super fortunate to have a charger. Sandie had one when we needed it. Tire pressures we did several times, mornings. Fortunate enough not to use the puncture repair, but we you know, to get to the battery and things, we certainly used that toolkit as we went through. One of the awesome things on our trip was we had two ladies out riding, Mrs. Stevie M and Sandie, with me here, both 5 foot and inches, and riding big baggers, and you know, did epically on the trip. And I just think they're super cool that they're getting out there and tearing it up. So I thought we'd have a quick chat and get their thoughts on the trip. So first question, ladies, what were the highlights of the trip? What were the must-dos for anyone doing a similar trip?
Must-dos.
Needles Highway.
Needles?
Number 1 on my list. and the Custer Wildlife Loop.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, we got real lucky with the amount.
I didn't necessarily have a list. I just like the
whole trip.
The whole thing. Yeah.
You just
Except for the heat. I didn't like the heat.
The heat.
Oh,
No.
gosh, no.
Yeah.
I would probably do it earlier than we did. Maybe a couple weeks, like the end of May, maybe.
Yep.
Start off. That's just me personally. I can't do heat, so. But
Me personally, I'm just stupid. Put up with the heat, but
You didn't have a choice because I booked it in. But I think there's definitely his time of going was key. You want to make sure.
Well, yeah, we couldn't. Yeah, the heat wave. No one could
we couldn't predict that.
predict
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that was
Anything you learned on the trip that you would do differently if you did the trip again, or advice you'd give to others on a long trip, even if it's not to Sturgis generally?
Well, you did all of our planning, so I thought that was great. But yeah, planning is a must. Know where you're going the day before, so everybody is on cue with that. And what we did, we would ride until dinner time. I think that was perfect. No riding in the dark. You get home before dinner, have nice dinner, relax in the AC, and
get to stretch your legs, walk around.
yeah, and you get to rejuvenate for the next day.
Yeah.
Awesome. How did the bikes go? Anything you do different with your bikes?
Anyway, you know that from the videos. But you couldn't. I couldn't help that. But thanks to Sandie.
Yep.
Bring a jump
Bring
box.
a jump box.
Bring air compressor.
Yeah.
Always bring your maintenance stuff. I always carry a quart of oil. Always bring maintenance stuff. And with packing, I noticed, we knew we were going to get into some cold weather, but I did not want to bring a leather jacket because it's too bulky. So rain suits are great for keeping you warm under your 7 layers of thin clothing.
Definitely. Yeah. But yeah, I think. Well, we all, before we left too, we all discussed what tools and stuff we were bringing, so that helps too.
Yeah, everybody brought something that was preventative maintenance
in case something happened. So
yeah, not one
we
person.
We weren't amateurs and we knew.
We had every aspect covered.
Yeah.
Everybody had a little bit of tools, and
even my bike was nice enough to where it did die. It was not too far to get there.
But we had the tools to get her going again, and it worked out very well.
Excellent. And any final thoughts on the trip?
My only regret was we didn't get to go into Crazy Horse. We went into Mount Rushmore first, and it was crazy with the parking, so we were kind of let's not go into Crazy Horse. But I regret that. Go into Crazy Horse. I've talked to a lot of people that have done it, and they said it's amazing. So I would do that differently. What else?
I think that was the only big thing we kind of missed.
Yeah, Badlands we didn't do, but I don't regret that. We saw the overlook.
Yeah, I'm glad we went as far as we did. Didn't help getting a call from my children in distress, but anyway, so I didn't see it as much as you guys.
But you have the video.
I have the video to watch, but I think just Crazy Horse maybe was just the one.
Yeah, that we missed. We saw it from the road, but definitely would have went in to see that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Richard did a great job with planning and leading the trip, so we can't give you enough kudos for that. And the videos are amazing.
I appreciate
Job well
that.
done.
And that was all my pleasure to do. And these guys were absolutely amazing on the trip. What we put them through and what they did. So kudos to them. They dug in and through the heat, through the rain, it was good. So awesome trip.
Definitely do it again.
We would do it again.
There was enough time to.
Tom's just joined in. We were just talking highlights of the trip.
So, scenery.
What would you recommend to others?
Scenery's unbelievable. Like I think everybody said, make sure you plan plenty of time. It was nice. We stayed in Spearfish, and we could walk down to the restaurants at night. That made it very convenient. The day we went to Devil's Tower, I would highly recommend you get there early, because when we left a couple hours later, there was a long line of people waiting to get up there just to get into the parking lot. So, and we weren't even there during the actual rally. So bear in mind, you know, plan ahead for those kind of things. Had good food almost everywhere we went, most of the restaurants. Good time, good service. Wish we could have got to the Badlands, at least we got to see it, but next trip definitely going to go through the Badlands. That looked really cool. And all the Spearfish Canyon and the Needles was really cool. We did a lot on the day we did Needles. We did the wildlife loop, Needles, and then we rode out to the Badlands. If I had to do it again, I might take more time on Needles and just stop and take some more pictures along the way and enjoy the scenery. But it was great, and seeing the bison was really cool. It was kind of funny, we didn't see any for the first half an hour, so we were like, where's all these bison everybody talks about? But then all of a sudden we saw a huge herd, and then we went just a few miles further and saw a second huge herd. So really cool to see them. And you know, just don't stare them down. You know, Richard tried to stare them down a few times. I think he was trying to challenge them. No, I'm just kidding. But it was a lot of fun, so highly recommend it.
Awesome. Any final thoughts? Would you do it again?
Well, Spirit Lake, I would definitely go to Spirit Lake if you're thinking about going up there. Go over to Spirit Lake and take the Indian Motorcycle Factory tour. Make sure you schedule it in advance, get on the list. They were pretty open to our scheduling and worked it out for us, but you know, that was definitely worth it too, to see that and to be a place where my motorcycle was built, for example, I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, I would recommend that too.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. So that pretty much brings the Sturgis series to an end, unfortunately. That's it. That's a wrap. That was it. 5,331 miles, 17 days, 12 states. Awesome time had by all. Thoroughly enjoyed it. One last thing to do. A little bit controversial, maybe. Yes, I rode it to Sturgis. You can't argue with me on that, and it was in 2024. We didn't technically attend the Sturgis rally, but the sticker says we went to Sturgis. So I am gonna throw this on the bike right now. And I reckon just below the Drop Bear Motor sticker, just there, gonna be a suitable spot for it on my rear bag.